Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I will recap SNL 50 on tomorrow's program. I just want to take a little time and put that one together. Should be a busy week. George Lopez has a special out tomorrow. I imagine he'll do a lot of press, and George tends to throw heat in interviews, so we'll see if he stirs it up. There was a clip on Thursday night. People were kind of surprised how George looks these days with long gray hair, and maybe his weight had changed a little bit. People were like, what's up with George Lopez? So we'll talk about him all week. Nate Bargatzei is in negotiations to star in Christmas in Paradise. That would be a holiday family comedy. Nate, if he signs on, would play a beloved small-town doctor who finds himself with a unique bounty on his head just a week before Christmas in a town where everything is not as it seems. Now, I like Nate a lot and have liked Nate a lot for years. I know he's super popular right now. There's nothing in his stage persona or interview persona that makes me think he would be a good actor. I hope to be wrong, but I read this and I'm like, is Nate actually going to be good in that? Who knows? Maybe he will surprise. The LA Daily News caught up with Russell Peters. He's Canadian, and they were curious. What do you think about this idea to make Canada the 51st state? Canadian Russell Peters said, it's not like it's a real option. It wasn't on the table. It's just something that they put out there in the ether. People are acting like that'd be great, while Canadians are like, what the F are you talking about? It's almost like the movie Indecent Proposal. The problem is you put it out there, and then people think it's real. Americans don't realize that they're insular in their way of thinking. The rest of the world looks at you guys and goes, they're stupid, aren't they? Americans keep doing things like this and believing it, and then the rest of the world goes, wow, what a sad fall from grace. Send your letters to Russell Peters, who also commented on Kendrick versus Drake. Russell said, I mean, congrats to Kendrick, but it was never a real beef to me. There was a beef, but it wasn't like a battle. There was nothing hip-hop about it because it was literally two guys arguing about who's a bad father and a husband. It had nothing to do with hip-hop, and it was corny to me as a hip-hop head. It was good for Kendrick on a certain level. Kendrick probably wouldn't have had that record if he wasn't in the middle of that war with Drake. So in a very strange way, Kendrick should thank Drake for all those Grammys. Russell says, I've been part of the hip-hop culture since about 82. That's when I first got introduced to it, and it shaped the way I act and look at the people I hung around with. It's funny when you say hip-hop, people only think about music, like rapping, but so many things make it hip-hop. If you're talking about rapping, then you're talking about rap music, which is part of it, but not the only element. The four elements of hip-hop are, take notes, everybody. Get out a pen. I'll give you a second here. You got a pen, you got a piece of paper. Okay, Notes app works just fine. The four elements of hip-hop are breaking, DJing, rapping, and graffiti. Russell says, for me, it started with breakdancing. I got into breaking, graffiti, and DJing. I never rapped, but could always appreciate it. His favorite hip-hop era is anywhere from 88 to 99, a really solid run. I'm very East Coast and very tri-state area oriented, so when people ask me, what do you think about so-and-so, I go, no, I can't listen to that accent. Like Kendrick's, I don't like the sound of his voice. Can he rhyme? Probably. Can he write some songs? Probably. But can I listen to him? No. There are certain rappers whose voices I don't like. I never liked Tupac's. Then there are guys who had great voices and terrible rhymes. It goes both ways. Again, send your letters to Russell Peters via Canada. The LA Times asked Gianmarco Soresi, friend of the podcast, as a headliner, can you get darker because the crowd is there for you, but do you also worry about getting cheap laughs? Great question, Gianmarco said. I have some material in this special that involves feeling suicidal and having a friend who's suicidal. If I'd done that in a 10-minute club set, people would be like, jeez, I just want to have a good Friday night. What are you doing? But my fans know my point of view and like darker things, so I can explore these topics. But almost every comedian, even the greats, gradually get worse. One factor is performing for your fans who like you and will laugh even at a failed joke. You lose the fear about keeping their attention and having to write something so sharp. He addressed the physicality of his comedy and said, stand-up is such a tricky art form because you can feel like a tryhard. In the beginning, you could have accused me of being theatrical without the jokes to back it up. I got labeled as two one-man show at one club, which was frustrating. But for me, it's pretty natural. When attention is thrust upon me, a flamboyance emerges. I'm trying to lean into that without exaggerating it. Always asking, how can this be funny and serve the storytelling? As my stages literally get bigger, I look at the real estate and think, I have to use it for something. What can I use the stool or the mic stand for in a way that doesn't feel overly choreographed, but still adds a dimension that a lot of comics of the generation above me veered away from? Really, really interesting, really smart. Felipe Esparza in that great Icon versus Icon interview from last week that I shared in the Facebook group, probably a week ago now, Daily Comedy News Podcast group. He talked about learning a lesson from a more veteran comic who told him, always go over my set. He told me to carry a tape recorder to record my sets and carry a notepad so I could write down any joke that came to me. As soon as a joke comes to you, write it down. I did that for a long time. Now I have my phones. I just record my set and write down my ideas. There's some things that I always have taken with me. You know, for many comedians, it's hard for them to listen to their own voice after a 1 hour set or after performing 7 shows in a row, but you really have to go home on your day off and listen to all 7 shows. A lot of comics say they don't like doing that. They don't like recording their set. They just remember to write it down on paper. For me, I like doing all that stuff. I like recording my set, listening to it, and then writing down the new jokes that night or a new moment that was funny. I'll listen to those sets all day long. I might listen to the same show 4 or 5 times before I start taking notes. I like doing that as part of my creative process. What a fantastic job by Icon versus Icon. They got great stuff out of Felipe. They were curious when he feels he came into his own as a performer. Felipe said, I think in the last couple of years, if you've seen my set on Last Comic Standing when I won, I was still kind of deadpan and nervous on stage. What I have now is a lot more confidence. That's something I didn't have when I first started. Right now, I won't say I'm fearless. I've done shows in Australia, all over the world. I've been building the confidence. In the beginning, I was nervous, man. A comedian would kill the room, absolutely destroy. After the comics left the stage, people were still thinking about that set. So back in the day, when I was following that, it would really throw me off my set. Not anymore, man. I just look at my wife with her large assets. You know what? It's not that dirty. I just look at my wife with her big-ass boobs, and I know I've made it. I just feel confident, bro. I feel like all these buff guys are flexing their muscles, but then I take out my trench coat and have muscles too. I'm going to win the crowd over basically without trying. I don't know what that is. I guess it comes from all the experience. I've been doing it a long time. All right, Hannibal Buress has been working on opening a club. He has announced the official grand opening of his new space Sunday, March 9th. Hannibal will do musical and comedy sets and be joined by special guests. A press release says SU Tuesdays will happen once a month starting in March. A press release describes that as a high-energy night of music, comedy, and improv featuring a live band and special musical guests. No dates on that other than the concept of a Tuesday. Hannibal says, getting this venue open took way longer than I thought and was more expensive than I imagined. I'm excited to have a consistent home and experiment on stage and showcase top talent. When I'm not performing, I love going to shows. So now I get to consolidate that into one space. I have a lot of great memories in the space, and I'm excited to create more. I'm excited to move past the construction phase and get to putting on events. Good news, the campaign to erect a statue of Terry Jones from Monty Python in his seaside hometown has hit its target of £120,000 in less than 6 months. One of those donations was £6,000 from Susie Eddie Izzard. Now that the funding is there, artist Nick Elphick will start working on the final design. Sally Jones is Terry's daughter. Said, I'm absolutely stunned that we've hit our target. I want to thank everyone who's made a donation or bought a campaign t-shirt. We've had donations from all over the world, and everyone has been so overwhelmingly positive about having a statue of my old dad. Just like me, I'm sure he would have been blown away by the response. Variety put out a list. Lists are there to make you react to them, and I reacted to this one. It is the 100 greatest TV performances of the 21st century. I won't do all 100, but I picked out the comedy ones. 98, Brett Goldstein as Roy Kent and Ted Lasso, fine. 94 is Matt Berry as Laszlo on What We Do in the Shadows. Matt's fantastic and everything. If you've never seen Toast of London, if that shows up on a streaming service, watch Toast of London. This next one is Crazy Talk. Kristen Melody as Tracy the mother on How I Met Your Mother. What is she in, like 4 episodes? 9 episodes? What? And I think she was the only one from the cast mentioned. That's just Crazy Talk. Like, unless I missed it, are you going to tell me she's better than Neil Patrick Harris, just head to head? Now, if you want to put her on for Penguin, I'll discuss it with you. But for this role, that's just crazy. Moving on. 84, Alana Glazer in Broad City. 70 is Ty Burrell from Modern Family. 67, Caitlin Olsen as Dee Reynolds on It's Always Sunny. She was the only one who made the list. Fair enough. She's great on the show. The others are all fine. I'm not sure they're the greatest actors of our generation. So sure, that's fair. 63 is Janelle James on Abbott. 57, Danny Pudi for Community. 50, Susie Essman for just yelling and screaming on Curb Your Enthusiasm made the list. Okay. 48, Sarah Goldberg as Sally Reed on Barry. Fantastic job by her. This next one is Crazy Talk. 40, Danny McBride as Kenny Powers on Eastbound and Down. I mean, it's Danny McBride doing Danny McBride things. It's the 40th best acting job of the 21st century. Yeah, no. 38, Rachel Brosnahan for Mrs. Maisel. 25 is Phoebe Waller-Bridge for Fleabag. 24, Catherine O'Hara for Schitt's Creek. Yeah, all right. 22, Alec Baldwin for 30 Rock. Now, I say that should be number one. Here's why. 30 Rock when Alec Baldwin isn't in a scene is terrible. He carried that show and helped foster the legend of Tina Fey. 30 Rock minus Alec Baldwin is awful. Send your letters to me. You can copy Russell Peters on it, but you can send your letters to me. Alec Baldwin made that show. He's number 22. Steve Carell is Michael Scott in The Office at number 12. Andre Braugher, possibly my favorite actor of all time, as Captain Raymond Holt in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I guess. I mean, I think he's great. He's not as great in 9-9 as he is in Homicide: Life on the Street. And is it the 8th best performance overall? It's not even his best performance. So I don't know about that one either. And number 1, let me remind you, this list is the 100 greatest TV performances of the 21st century, not comedy specific. Overall, the 100 greatest TV performances they went with, and this is insane, Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Selena Meyer for Veep. They write, who else could it be? Over 7 seasons, Louis-Dreyfus delivered the signature comedy performance of the century so far. I'll jump in there. Now that is a good topic. What is the signature comedy performance of the century so far? It might be Carell. I'd have to think about it. And did so with such focused intensity that it was easy to forget that Veep was a comedy at all. Now, in case you're curious, and I'm sure you are, you're like, hey, John, how is Bryan Cranston not number 1 on the list? I agree. That's a good point, listener. The others on the list, so 1 was Julia, 2 is Jeremy Strong for Succession. Won't argue it, won't fight in the street about it. 3 is Elizabeth Moss as Peggy Olson in Mad Men. Also very good, but John Hamm wasn't on this list at all. And I'm not saying Hamm over Moss, but is John Hamm number 51 on this list? So that seems weird to me as well. 4 was Lisa Kudrow on The Comeback. I've never seen it, so I can't comment. Bryan Cranston as Walter White on Breaking Bad was 5th. Michael Kenneth Williams as Omar on The Wire is 6. Carrie Coon on The Leftovers is 7. She was fantastic in that. Brower, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Rhys Seehorn on Better Call Saul as Kim Wexler. She was very good in that. And Sandra Oh as Christina Yang on Grey's Anatomy at 10. Also a very good pick. So yeah, what is the signature comedy performance of the century so far? I'm just thinking it could be Chappelle something. It could be Kate McKinnon opening up Saturday Night Live after the one particular election. It was a comedy show and she was in character. Could be that, right? It depends how we want to grade these things. It could be Kate McKinnon. But I also think, send me more letters. We're a quarter of the way through the century now. I think people have forgotten how huge Dane Cook was. And as a performer, he worked the stage. That could be up there. This is a good topic. I'd have to put some thought into it. Or maybe I'll get out my AI friend again and discuss it with my AI friend and see what he has to say. Maybe we'll do that. All right, that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too. If you've just discovered the program, I've been doing some extra promotion on the side. Welcome. The show comes out 7 days a week. Follow it on your favorite podcast app, and I appreciate you, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.